Welcome to day 5 of the journal that we're putting together every day for you via video about selling something. Getting a little stir crazy.
Also, cheers. It's Friday.
It's wine time. Jason Zook.
You didn't cheers it.
Caroline Zook. And we are talking to you about selling a high value product, which is BuyOurFuture for us. This is the 5th day, technically 4th day, but 5th day that BuyOurFuture has been available. And we want to go over a couple things that have been going on
the journey
to show you behind the scenes what it's like. And our dog Plaxico just got super cute behind us on the camera.
He wants to be in the video with us. He
You
did a
can't-
heavy sigh though.
You can't really see him, but that's okay.
He's back there.
All right, so let's talk about, we did a live Q&A last night. This was not a BuyOurFuture related thing. This was a local entrepreneur thing that just popped up earlier last week.
And the timing worked out.
The timing worked out because it was during BuyOurFuture, and it wasn't that we were going to pitch BuyOurFuture. We were just like, hey, if any time there was a time to go to a live Q&A thing and be upfront of people and them asking questions.
I feel like that's another tip to take away is just like when you are launching something and you do have an opportunity like that where you can get in front of a different audience, even if it is a smaller one. And the in-person thing really does well. Like Jason said, not to get up there and hard pitch whatever you're trying to sell, but more just giving exposure to a new audience. And you never know, like if they know a friend of a friend and they're like, oh, I was at this event and so, they're doing this cool thing. So you never know how that stuff works out.
Yep. If anything, it was just another thing that we can do that we can say like, well, we did that. That was a part of this launch. And you kind of just leave space for those things to happen. We created space for it. And it was great. We didn't have a presentation. We just answered some questions about entrepreneurship and creating projects and working together. So I think it was really good. There were some folks there afterwards that called us a power couple. No big deal.
We were like, did someone pay you to say that?
Yeah.
Are you just boosting my ego because you know that it's a launch and you know that I'm like, in my head about it and someone just paid you to walk up to me and be like, you're doing okay.
Also, are you our moms? Because that's how our moms describe us.
Yes, true.
So that was fun. I had a fun time doing that.
We realized it was our first time doing like an on-stage, not that there was like a stage, but you know what I mean? You're speaking.
Yeah.
It was the first time we did it, and it was like really fun. Like I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's all the stuff that we've done via workshops or via little videos like our Future Finding video series.
Or this one that you're watching right now.
Or this type of thing. So yeah, we really enjoyed that. So it led to some other thoughts about future stuff. So, yeah, so I wanted to bring that up and just talk about that. I have no clue if that will result in a BuyOurFuture sale, but you will be the first to find out.
I made a bold prediction that one sale was going to come from
and there were only probably 20 people there. So
we'll see how that pans out in the end.
Bold. Okay, let's talk about the self-doubt monster. He has reared his ugly head, and he is real.
So I actually just had a flashback of our launch day where we were just like,
this is great. Everything's good. No self-doubt.
I have that one moment of self-doubt every once and again, but we've done this so many times. Little did we know that day, what's day 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Was when the self-doubt monster was like, no, I'm just creeping on you.
Yeah.
I'm coming up quick. And I don't know what it stemmed from because here's the funny thing. So we know going into this, we've done the 2-week BuyOurFuture launch window multiple times now, first with BuyMyFuture, now with BuyOurFuture. There's always a middle lull where it just gets quiet and you feel like nobody kind of cares what's going on. Like you're still trying to sort of find opportunities to talk about BuyOurFuture and to reach out to people, but just people move about their day. And then at the end, it picks up again. We know that. And yet every time it happens,
it still affects us.
It still affects us. There's still a little part of you that's like, shit.
Okay, so how do we get through it? First of all, we wallowed in it for a little bit, and we're like, oh, what's going on? So also, full disclosure, I will talk about how many total BuyOurFuture sales at the end of this journal. So if that gives you some reason to stick around to the end,
cliffhanger.
Now you have that reason. So it's one of those things where we said, all right, first of all, we've only sent out 2 emails essentially, and really only one was a sales email about BuyOurFuture.
2 list-wide emails. So there's been like other emails to segments or like the workshop attendees.
Really just to the workshop segment. That's all it's been. So it's basically one email that has sold BuyOurFuture 1. And for the majority of people, they probably saw that and they're like, oh, the majority of people are probably like, oh, look, BuyOurFuture's open, cool, whatever. They go about their day. People who might be interested were probably like, oh, I am interested in that. I'm gonna go check out the website. And then they just, they go about their work day, whatever. And then maybe people who are super interested, like, oh, I'm gonna go buy, and they go to the website and then they get stuck to Facebook and then whatever, and then they don't come back. So we have to send more emails. We have to be more present in front of these people. So that was the first thing to go. Only one email has gone out. This weekend we have an email going out. Next week we have a couple of emails going out. And then we have emails, 3 emails going out on the last day and a half, essentially.
Yeah. But that tidbit there is just to remind yourself, if you're in the middle of a launch and you have like an entire plan ahead of you, but you just happen to be at that one moment where like you haven't executed fully yet, to remind yourself like, oh wait, that's right. Like I'm only a 10th of the way through this plan that we've put together. So that's a good reminder.
Yeah. Anything else with the self-doubt monster? I mean, I think for us, we've just been thinking a lot in general about how do people find BuyOurFuture? And if you're watching this and you're trying to build your own high value thing, it's how do people find that thing, and is it a direct lead in, however they find it, to that thing? And for us, it's not. I mean, any direct lead in for us does not go to BuyOurFuture. There is not a clear path from you entered your email, you came to our websites, you did whatever, to BuyOurFuture. There's kind of a disconnect. So we're trying to think about that going forward of, okay, how can we create a better system where someone can get all the tools, the community, access to us to help build whatever thing they want to build as an entrepreneur, and that we're there for them and they have all the things that they need. But we're not really leading people from like the beginning of that journey to BuyOurFuture, which is something that I think the self-doubt monster also devours as he gets into our brain. So we need to figure that out. And it's something we've known. We just haven't spent a lot of time on it, so it's something we're going to prioritize going forward.
But that's a really good point of how you overcome that, is you just go, okay, where is this feeling coming from? A, is it rational or not? That's kind of the thing about realizing where you are in the sequence. But then B, having a problem solver's mindset. Like that is a business mindset, and just going like, okay, what am I learning right now? Like, what am I seeing? What's the feedback I'm getting? You know, are there things that I can do before the end of the launch to solve that problem? Or are there things I can do in the future? And just having like a mentality of like curiosity rather than judgment, and being like, oh, well, why didn't we make that clear from the get-go? Or I think another really important thing is not letting your assumptions run away with you.
Oh, for sure.
So I told Jason, you know, like we were having a conversation and it's like, oh, is it not clear? Is this not clear enough, or that not clear enough? And I'm like, those are all just assumptions that we're making. Those are dots that we're connecting that may not really be the case.
Right.
So that's another really important lesson too, I think, is not trying to connect those dots in a self-judgment type of way, and instead just like adopting a problem solver's mindset.
So part of that twist leads me to my next point, which is personalization. So we're bullish on the idea of personalization, both in our emails, on our websites. We're not doing it yet, but we believe in the idea of it because it's very difficult. It's a very difficult thing to do, to speak directly to someone where they are. So if you were to come to our website and maybe you're an artist or you're a designer or you're a photographer, if you tell us that through either a forum on our site or we email you and ask you, we could then turn our content that we write that maybe already exists to speak to you and where you are and what you need in your life and what you need in your business. And we've written some sales emails for BuyOurFuture, but we decided to call the audible from the self-doubt monster to say, you know what, let's test some of this personalization stuff here. So we're going to send out a 3-question survey tomorrow morning, which will be Saturday. We never send emails on Saturday. And I believe that people who like us will fill out the survey because it's very simple. It's just, we want to know more about you so that we can send you better content that is related to your journey and that your journey changes. So we need to keep asking you that so that we keep up with who you are and what you're working on. So the idea is we'll collect that information, those 3 questions. The questions are
basically, how do you identify yourself? So that's like, are you an artist, a blogger, a freelancer, all that stuff. The second one is, how do you sell things? So do you sell digital products? Do you sell physical products? Do you do client work, or do you work at a 9-to-5 job? Like how do you make money basically? Yep. And then the third one is, what do you want? So do you want to start a business? Ryan Gosling, Jeff. Do you want to start a business? Do you want to add more, have more revenue in your business? Do you want to optimize your business? So it's basically, with those 3 questions, we can use a thing called liquid templating in our emails to specifically, and there will be different versions of an email. That's basically like, because we know that BuyOurFuture has the right products and the right community in order to help anyone at that different thing. But we kind of think, and this is an assumption, but we think that because it can help so many different people at so many different parts of their journey, that it might actually be a little bit overwhelming. So it might be that they don't know exactly how it's going to help them. So that's our assumption. We're going to test it through this personalization, and we're going to say, okay, if you're a blogger who makes money through clients, who wants to actually make more revenue in your business, here's exactly the products that can help you do that. And we kind of think that by sending a direct email, basically laying out a roadmap for them of BuyOurFuture and how it can get them where they are through the way that they make money to where they want to be, that might have a positive impact on just showing somebody the value of BuyOurFuture. So
and part of it as well is going to be, we have this case study email that we want to send out, which is true stories that we've done video interviews with 4 people in BuyOurFuture, and I want to tailor that email to that person. So to say like, hey, you're trying to grow your blog or whatever, and you can follow Danny's story or whatever, and so that it actually just feels like, hey, we're speaking to you where you are, and we're not just speaking to everybody. So to use that personalization not just in exactly for how BuyOurFuture helps them there, but also these other emails that we have going out, even if it's like our bonuses email, it just speaks, hey, you're this person, these bonuses can help you do X with your business. So that is the plan with that. I keep looking down, by the way, because that's where my phone sits, just in case you're wondering, like, what's he looking at the entire time?
The monitor for the cameras in the phone.
Very fancy.
He's not like checking his tweets or
just
something.
checking my tweets. So yeah, personalization, we will kind of get back to you on that. It does get very, very tricky quickly. It gets very confusing. It gets very overwhelming. My head explodes with it. Caroline is the one who takes care of this stuff. So
I like it a lot.
I will
it's like a puzzle.
Next week, we may have good news or bad news on how that went. So we will keep you posted. And then we're taking the weekend off. So that's the last thing I have here. Part of launching something, part of doing this, especially a 2-week thing, it's long. There's a lot of time involved. There's a lot of things involved. And we don't want to be, I don't want to be filming a video journal every day. We don't want to be writing emails every day. We need time to relax, recharge, and just be ready to like jump back in next week and put more energy to it. So we're taking off the next 2 days from this, from really anything else. We've got a creative idea we're going to play around with this weekend, and creating that space for that idea will let us actually execute it. So you'll hear more about that idea next weekend in video journals and just in general.
The last thing I wanted to say is I just wanted to take a second to communicate the fact that the reason we're doing this journal is because we wanted to give you an insight into selling a high value product, yes, but doing it from 2 people who want to do it really authentically.
Yeah.
So we know that there are people out there teaching ways to set up, webinar funnels and do all kinds of stuff that, and I'm not going to, try to pass judgment on like ClickFunnels and deadlines and all of that stuff. But I know that there are ways that other people like to pour thousands and thousands of people into a funnel and try to sell something like this. And that is totally fine. And if that works for them, then that is good for them. However, Jason and I made a decision early on that while we certainly can, draw inspiration from that and take things that work, we want to do it in a way that feels really good to us.
Yep.
So we've intentionally chosen not to use certain tactics in this sales process. And I just wanted to point out that was an intentional choice. And I hope that this journal gives you an insight into 2 people who have just, drawn a line in the sand and say, we're not going to go that route. We're just going to try to figure out our own way and navigate our own way and what feels good to us. So,
yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Let's wrap this thing up. Thanks so much for watching these journal entries. We'll be back next week.
That was cheers. That was my happy Friday.
Hope you
Cheers.
have some wine and enjoy your weekend.